Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's start with a little technical work to get the bill to where it needs to be. I'd like to please have the clerk call House Committee Sub 2. Move adoption.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 2 to House Bill 439.
Gentleman from Bourbon.
Move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 2. Is there any discussion of the committee substitute? Lady from Fayette, do you wish to discuss the committee sub or the bill? Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 2. Is there any discussion? Those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 2 is adopted. Gentleman from Bourbon.
Mr. Speaker, please have the clerk report House Floor Amendment 2.
Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2 to House Bill 439.
Gentleman from Bourbon.
Move adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 2. Is there any discussion of the floor amendment? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye. Those opposed, nay. House Floor Amendment 2 is adopted. Gentleman from Bourbon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know everyone has their favorite part of this large alcohol bill, so let me go through each of the sections. First off, we start off with the definition under riverboat. We go from 100 passengers down to 40 passengers. This allows for the expansion of tourism right here in the Kentucky River, so you can actually have a bourbon while you're on the bourbon cruise. It's the nation's only boat-based bourbon tour. Then we move on to page 18, section 7. This will allow for a local option election to be held for alcohol sales in a Cedar County precinct where a marina is located in that precinct. And it has to meet these provisions. It has to have at least 15 boat slips. It has to buy and sell gasoline for the operation of boats, and it has to sell staple groceries and operate a restaurant. Part 3 of this bill is the vintage spirits bill. I think we'll all remember that from a few years ago if you were uphill. If you were up here, it had a lot of different names. I think a lot of people refer to it as the Dusty Bottle Bill. What happened when we created the vintage spirit bill is that we inadvertently created an unregulated fourth tier. We're all familiar with our 3-tier alcohol system. We inadvertently created an unregulated fourth tier system. So what we've done is we've created a license, from the ABC, we've created a license that you can purchase for $300, and that'll allow the ABC to identify who is actually doing this so that they can control this. It's a large part of quality that goes along with this. We're not trying to limit what bottle is or not allowed to be sold. Rather, we're trying to control the quantity of that as long as the bottle is not available from a licensed wholesaler in the Commonwealth. The licensee shall then file a monthly report with the department with the required information that's listed out on page 26 of the bill. And the biggest restriction is that no more than 24 packages, no more than 24 bottles in a 12-month period. If they do, and this is the amendment that we passed, we have taken the criminal part out, and we have put in monetary fines. I know that was a concern to many of our members, so that's what we've done. It's $500 on the first offense, $2,500 on the second offense, and for every subsequent after that, it is a $5,000 fine. If the department seizes alcoholic beverages, they must provide the licensee a notice of the violation in 14 days. That's fair enough. There's several investigations going on right there. Right now, it took a long time for the department to get back with these companies, with these retailers. Their product's been on a shelf. They've been held in limbo. 14 days, I believe that is fair process to let them know exactly why that is being held and why it was taken. Failure to do so returns that property back to the owner. Only after a final order and after all appeals may that alcohol be destroyed, or if it meets all the requirements that are listed out in here, such as being an unopened, steel-sealed package, it can be sold at auction for the alcohol, wellness, and responsibility education that we have renamed AWARE in this bill. It's formerly known as the Malt Beverage Education. We're actually expanding that program. So if these bottles are sold at auction, all that money will go into it. It allows, this is to deter and stop underage drinking, binge drinking on campus, Project Grad, Project Prom. It puts money across the state, and it puts a member of KDA on that board as well, expands that board to make sure that that money is distributed into those programs. I'm now going to yield to the gentleman from Fayette 45 to discuss the quota portion.